Speaking of Germany, this leads us to a very interesting question here, because the United States has always been one of the main proponents of disarming Germany, specifically after World War I, World War II, and now we are seeing the United States encouraging Germany to spend more on its military than Russia, right? So now the Germans have committed 100 billion euros to their military. They've raised their military expenditure from 1.5 to 2% of the GDP, which is what Trump was nagging them to do. He said they weren't paying their bills to NATO. So again, what's your opinion as an American, as a military man, as a connoisseur of history? Do you think this is a good idea to see Germany rearm like this?
History repeats itself. And if you militarize German society, history is going to repeat itself. I'm just stating a fact.
Yep.
And if this continues down this path, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 50 years, American troops are once again crossing the Atlantic to kill Germans. Because the last thing you need is to create the confluence between a powerful German economy with a growing nationalism in Germany. You see this, especially now that the European Union is fraying. We see right now within the European Union two primary centers of gravity, one in Paris, one in Berlin. The one in Paris is talking about, sort of a free economic approach. The one in Berlin is talking about more tightening of economic controls, traditional German frugality, et cetera. And now that we have this whole sanctions related economic crisis, we're going to see Germany further isolating itself from Europe. And the second that happens, and Germany starts to act as an individual nation as opposed to a member of a team, and then you link that with German militarization, the only bad things can happen. There was a meme. It was funny. But it basically was something along the lines of, "Let me get this right. You guys want me to rebuild my military and then march eastward through Poland to fight the Russians. So I just want to make sure that's what you want, because just in case questions are asked later." Meaning, so, tongue in cheek, but it's like, are you really even thinking about what you're asking the Germans to do? And I'll give you another thing here. Again, I can't predict history, but I know history. If we have a situation where Ukraine is dismembered, if the Russians begin a process of dismembering Ukraine, and we're seeing that, the Donbass is going to be expanded to include Mariupol. You're probably going to see a giant swath of southern Ukraine go over to either expand Crimea so that it has secure water. You create a land bridge, the potential to go all the way out to Odessa and physically bar Ukraine from the Black Sea. If that happens, there could very well be additional partitioning from a collapsed Ukrainian state that includes Hungary taking over the portions of Ukraine where you have a Hungarian-speaking majority, Romania moving into the Romanian areas, and Poland deciding that Western Ukraine, which used to be Polish, is now Polish again. And everybody say, well, that's cool. Why can't we do that? Well, the Germans worked very hard on Ostpolitik during the Cold War. And one of the key tenets of Ostpolitik was for Germany to say, we recognize the finality of the borders as they currently exist between Germany and Poland. That we recognize that we have permanently lost Silesia because of the war. But now if you start redrawing the map, I can guarantee you a dime to a dollar that Germany is going to start talking about the return of Silesia. And now we've just told them to build a $100 billion military. Literally, we're creating the conditions for a new German-Polish war. So no, I'm against this. Germany should not be allowed to rearm to this extent. Germany should be all of Europe should really look at this is why the Russian argument about a new European security framework is so important, because there's no need for Europe to maintain large standing armies. Large standing armies only get Europe in trouble. Europe needs the military force necessary to defend its own territory from non-European threats and to collectively respond to global situations as needed. Meaning that if you need to send a division into Africa, Europe comes together and they put together a combined division under unified command, and they go to Africa to do whatever they need, or they go wherever they need to go. But you don't need a large standing German army. This will only cause trouble for Europe. And I'm sorry, Germany, you don't get a break. You don't get a break. There's a reason why we dismembered you at the end of World War II, because you suck as a nation. You suck as a superpower. Maybe you think your people have been re-educated. They haven't. And if we remilitarize them, and if we allow the disintegration of European security to continue to, the unraveling because of the Ukrainian war, Germany's just going to become more isolationist, and that isolationism will feed nationalism, and that nationalism will become militant nationalism, and now we've given them permission to build $100 billion army. No, wrong.
Do you